Hi everyone, so today I am going to be making some white bread, my homemade white bread. I had asked on Facebook as well as Instagram who would be interested, and I got quite the interest. So it is Tuesday morning, we're actually running out of bread, so I have to make some more. I'm making 3 loaves of normal white bread, and then I'm also making some cinnamon rolls that we're going to be having for lunch. So let me quick bring you over and I will show you what you need. So here's what you'll need. Sorry if you hear Lincoln in the background, he's actually eating breakfast, and I will put the actual measurements down below for you guys and put them on the screen if I remember. So you're going to need some lukewarm water, you're going to need some salt, some yeast, some sugar, some oil, and some flour, and that is it. Most people have all of these things in their house minus the yeast, and yeast is really inexpensive. I actually have the Fleischmann's, I say Fleischmann's, active dry yeast, and this is the original. It's equal to 16 envelopes and it was around $4. I keep it in the fridge after I've used it, and it's been in there since last Thanksgiving because I gave up making bread. But now I'm back and I'm loving this recipe, so I figured I'd share it with you. So let's get started. So the first thing you're going to do is add your water, your lukewarm water, into your mixing bowl. I'm using my KitchenAid. You can use whatever. And you're also going to add your sugar. So whenever you're working with yeast, you have to feed them with something so they'll activate. You can choose honey, you can choose agave. I just use plain old white sugar. That's what works for me. So I stir this up just to start the dissolving process. And then you're going to add your yeast. You're going to do a tablespoon for each loaf you're doing, so 4 tablespoons this time. I gotta pick some more up next time I make bread. Now some people choose to mix it up. I do, just to make sure that it's incorporated. Sorry about the dog. And then basically what you're going to do is sit and wait for it to activate, which should take about 10 minutes. So I will show you what it looks like after it's activated. So as you can see, our yeast has proofed. You'll know because it'll foam up and look like beer on top, although the water is still underneath. So we have 2 more things to add, which is going to be our salt. So let me get that. And then we also have to add our oil. And I know this looks like a lot, but keep in mind, it's for 4 loaves. I know a lot of people get discouraged, like, why are you putting that much sugar in bread? It's distributed throughout 3 loaves, or 4 loaves. So there's that. And then we're going to bring all of this over to the KitchenAid and start mixing in our flour. Now keep in mind, you can also do this hand mixed. I've seen it done hand mixed. I just prefer to do it in the KitchenAid because if I need to keep it stirring and go get one of the boys, it'll still keep stirring. So let's head on over there and I will show you the next step. So we have our mixture on the KitchenAid. I like to use the hook attachment. You can use whatever, but I find with bread and kneading that works best for me. And then I also like to put the guard on, so when I put the flour in, it's not splashing everywhere. So let me quick grab the flour and we can start. Okay, so mine is finished. I took it out and put it on the counter, and I kneaded it in some flour. I didn't have to do it for very long. And now I have it in this ball. And you're going to have to let it rise for an hour. So I have a blue bowl right here that I've greased with some olive oil. And I'm just going to plop it in. Let it rest a little bit. Put a towel over the top and let it rest for an hour, and then we'll come check on it and I'll show you how it looks after it's risen. So I forgot to show you it in the bowl, but now I'm going to punch it down and knead it and then cut it into 4. So I will show you when I do that. So what you're going to do is cut it in half. I try to use a knife when I can, but as you can see it's kind of long, so we'll do the best that we can. There we go. So there's one side. Here's another, and then you're going to cut this in half too. So you're going to end up with 4 loaves. I set them aside, so I have 4 loaves. And then we're going to take this one, cut this one in half, and set them aside. So one is going to be used for cinnamon rolls, so I'm going to set that off. So now what you're going to do is, before you start kneading this really well and forming it into your loaf, you need to go butter your bread pans. So I'm going to quick go do that, and then I'll show you how I make my loaves. Okay, so what you're going to do now is, actually I should probably move these other pieces of dough because they're sticking together. Okay, so you're going to roll out your dough, and you're going to hear the air come out of it, which is good. You want to make sure your surface that you're rolling it out on is greased, of course, so it doesn't stick. And I know many people are like, why would you roll out dough if you're making bread? It's quite simple. You don't want air pockets and have there be big holes in your bread. So if you take the air out, that's not an issue. So hopefully this isn't going to stick. If it does, no big deal. We'll just kind of peel it up. So you have it all rolled out. You don't need to have it a certain length, but this is how I do it. I roll when you get about halfway, which if it sticks, just pick it up. You're going to pinch down one side, and then you keep rolling, which once again probably should have done it better, but you know, you do what you can. And you roll it up, and you're going to pinch the end, pinch the middle together, and then what I do is I roll in the sides and pinch them there, or the ends. And I know it doesn't look like a roll right now, but, or a loaf. You're gonna pick it up, which, like I said, this one might be a little stuck, but that's okay. You're gonna flip it over. I squish mine a little bit and shape it into what I want. And it's going to have to rise, so you can kind of do it however you want, but it's going to get better. So that's going to be my loaf, and I'll take one of my trays, and we're gonna pick it up, plop it in, fix it, and set it aside. Once all of these are done, you're going to let them rise for another half hour and then bake. So I forgot to film, when they're all done, you're going to put them in the pans and let them rise. This one's already started to rise a little bit. These ones have to rise for a half an hour. And then you will pop them in the oven at 325 degrees for 25 minutes or until they're golden brown. And I'll show you what that looks like. Alright, so these are finished rising. It just beeped. So here's this. This one should be fine. If anything, it'll be a little skinny, but no big deal. These ones rose beautifully, so I'm going to quick stick them in the oven. Alright, so this is what the bread looks like after you take it out. I'm roaming around my kitchen. For the towel, where's the towel? Oh, I have one right here. So what you're going to do is, as you can tell, very hard on the top. So what I like to do is I take a brush with some butter on it and I brush the butter all over the top. And I do that for all three. So once you have them all covered in butter, you're going to take a towel and you're going to cover them. And you're going to let them cool like this.